Alright, this comparative analysis, and what I'm basically going off, I'm just gonna break down a lot of the stuff. It's basically gonna be a brief. It's gonna be two parts. It's gonna be a comparative analysis part one, which is this, and it's gonna be a comparative analysis part two, which is gonna break down a whole nother side and prior situations that builds up to a lot of the stuff that went on in part one. And so with that said, I'm addressing the documents in this one, some of them, and I'm gonna touch on some of the documents that's gonna be elaborated on later on down the line. But this is really basically everything I already went over as far as the charging document, the warrant, the indictment, the lawsuit, the initial lawsuit for just $1 million instead of the last one for the larger lump sum, the larger suit. And that's gonna break down. I'm breaking down everything, basically comparing. We're gonna see how I go as I go. Now, the situation, I broke down everything, how I ended up being charged, what it said in the charging document and everything. So basically, I'm doing a comparative analysis to show that a lot of times when the state goes against someone, they say the state versus such and such. You know, the state versus you, the state versus Nantucket, the state versus this and that, or whoever the individual that they're going against. And this case in and of itself and the stuff that I went through proves that you don't even have to be wrong to be the state versus you or anybody else. It's whatever the state feels is in their personal or best interest, you know, at their time, whether they have their own personal agenda, their own viewpoints, their own goals, their whatever they feel as though they want to do. They feel as though they want to just prosecute you for whatever reasons. That's what they do, you know. Because and the prime example of that is I'm doing a comparison of guilty and innocent. Now the states say they prosecute guilty people, criminals, but in this case it proves that was a lie. You feel me? So in this case it shows that the people who were victims and involved with the victims, even if they try to say we wasn't a victim in and of ourselves, because I wasn't victimized personally, you know, because my man got hit with the jump, I didn't get hit with it. He got hit with the gun, I didn't get hit with a gun. But at the same time, I was dead, and I took the initiative to foresee what was going to happen, what was going on, what could happen, and went to alleviate it immediately. I was like, look, bro, shut out. Go ahead about your business. All this, I'm just trying to lay down the line. You know, look, bro, you tripping out here. Go ahead about your business. You ain't the only one out here on some G stuff. You feel me? So, go ahead, man. Go ahead, chill out. You know, and you coming out here, you coming out of my mouth wrong in the first place. You know, even though in certain situations or circumstances, I understand sometimes you know they want to so-called check people because they try and make sure you ain't getting out of line with their peoples or whatever. But sometimes that ego, that mentality of thinking that you just gotta automatically assume that someone is in the wrong and you gotta present yourself in a certain manner, that can get you in a worse situation in and of itself, because it's a program. It's programmed to create situations that make you react to situations and make it worse. You feel me? And that better. You know, I had Slim handle that jump more reasonably and respectably, or even just say, hey, bro, you know, my peoples or something, whatever the case may be, you know, it could have been handled way differently in so many levels. But it just goes to show you that even when we are faced with these situations, being from the streets, and that's why I say I'm from the streets, because it ain't the fact that I grew up in the streets all my life and all that other type of stuff, but I was in the streets at one point in time, but I was a book guy too. I was in school doing all that type of stuff. It wasn't, I understood the struggle of a lot of people who were in the streets, you feel me? And the environment I was in, you know, you look at it, you be like, dang, this ain't no ghetto part, because we didn't live in a ghetto part, even though certain parts of it in my area were ghetto, and we had apartment buildings and all that, but it didn't look like it, you know, because people had money. You feel me? A lot of our families had money, and then some people were struggling, you know, because some people, by the time they getting older, their family's so old, that, how should I put it, insurance, life insurance, all this other type of stuff, everything that's supposed to cover them when they retire, their retirement funds, all that, they didn't have enough money to cover bills and all that. So their family was struggling to maintain bills because of their living situation. So it was a whole bunch of stuff that goes on, and that's how they was taking property from a lot of our elderly and all that type of stuff. You thinking you're gonna retire? You work hard all your life, and you thinking you're gonna retire and live comfortably, or have it good, for the rest of your way out, and you realize that it's been a lie because they made you work that hard, thinking that you was gonna be good at the end, and then next thing you know, they telling you, oh, well, you might have to sell your house, or you might have to do this, or you might have to do that, and take out another mortgage, or do all this wild stuff to make more money because you don't have enough money because the retirement ain't enough. You feel me? So there's a lot of wild stuff that cause situations in our communities that a lot of people don't understand, and had people trying to find other ways and other means to make money. You feel me? So and I understood that, and I saw the games that was being played, the manipulation tactics, all that type of stuff. And then I saw how some people in the streets, I don't like to say the word dude because the origin of that word, but I say it sometimes, so excuse me. But some people in the streets, man, you see him and you start to see that Slim really ain't no bad individual, him or her. It's just their living situations, the environment, the things they're faced with, all that type of stuff. And then you don't. Well, me personally, I did not cater to or accept any of the wrongs they did, if they did wrongs, but I understood a lot of the decisions that they was making and why they made stupid decisions, why they made good decisions, why they was trying to do the right thing but ended up doing wrong things. You feel me? So that's how I went about things and looked at everything. So so I relate to the streets more than anything, and then but I always kept my mind focused and kept myself around positive older people, and they always taught me a lot of things about business, keeping my mind focused, staying focused, trying to find a better way, making things better for other people, all that type of stuff, and that's what I desire, because I already desired that period, and when I used to speak that, they used to be like, yeah, Slim, you're on the right path, so on and so forth. They used to call me the old young head. So, because I was so young, but I thought way beyond my years. It was like, Slim, man, you from another lifetime, bro. And it was crazy like that. But anyway, so when I'm breaking down this stuff, the charging document, they made it look like we was criminals. You feel me? And when I addressed a lot of that stuff, the guy who really committed the overt act and went out his way and jumped out there for no reason, he was made out to be the hero of the situation by the state, and they turned themselves into the prosecutor. And this will go back to one of the things that I was talking about in previous teachings and stuff. If anybody look at some of my stuff on my Facebook and other stuff that I put out there, it talks about how I was saying somebody's playing with our religions and playing with our religion, period, and then religions, and it breaks down how the state and the government factions and functions of the government that is portrayed by certain individuals or people who come into these positions to take on the power and roles that they're supposed to take on to do the right, they do wrong. You feel me? And in the process, they took on the Avenger concept and from the Bible when it talks about the angel of God, the Avenger of God. It goes out and it's basically was talking about a story. It was giving us a story of how you got to be careful because you never know how the Avenger. And at this time, one of the stories was an individual who was killed. It was breaking down a story of how an individual was killed. And then I'm just going to paraphrase this though. And the individual was killed. And you may have killed this individual by accident. Like I'm gonna use an olden time example of somebody's cutting wood in the forest, and they're working together, and you go to swing it, and the wood block, the part of the axe part comes off somehow, some wild way, on some old Final Destination type bull crap, and smacks the guy in the head or smacks him on the shoulder. Now his people's mad because they want revenge. They thinking that you did something wrong and they lost a loved one, so on and so forth. So they want to kill you before they even try to figure out what's really happened. So, and then this took on an identity and entity of itself. So they took on this role as, instead of the family going about to seek justice, they was going to be the ones, and they was going to be impartial They're supposed to be impartial and not have any bias towards the individual who's being judged. You feel me? For whatever act that happened, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, accident, whatever the case may be. But as you see, as time goes on, these individuals fill these roles. They are not doing that. What they're doing is personally identifying and coming in with a specific intent to do certain things. And then they have their own agendas, all the type of stuff. And you see it throughout this whole case right here. And you see it throughout history. And you see it how they have continued to repeat. They making all these laws and saying, oh, nah, well, they got to follow these procedures, all this type of stuff. But they don't follow it. They break every procedure, rule, and regulation, and that's it. Tell you it's the law, though. When you do something, it's the law. You got to do it. But when they do it, oh, well, they make an excuse or lie about it. And in this situation, that's what they tried to do. Every time they got caught doing something wrong, they tried to lie about it, manipulate the situations and circumstances to try to get out of it, or make us lie about it so they could try to transfer, in certain cases of, reasonable doubt. Now, if they can't make the people believe beyond reasonable doubt, what they try to do is create falsehood, misrepresentations of the truth, and lie, and then try to get you to lie so that your credibility can be tainted, so they can continue to lie and make it harder for you to prove, or for harder for them to believe that you're actually innocent of whatever they're accusing you of, and therefore making the concept of beyond reasonable doubt harder for them to comprehend, because now they're not looking at it beyond reasonable doubt. They're looking at, well, are you really a liar or not? Are you really capable of doing something like this? And even not even about did you do it or not. It's, are you capable? Did you, so on and so forth. So it's a lot of scandalous, wild stuff that goes on. And when it came to this situation, Slim wasn't even charged with nothing. Not one thing. I'm not mad at it. None of that. I felt some type of way during the time, but I didn't say nothing. And like I said, the whole time I was going through the whole process, allowing them to lie on me, I'm addressing the lies though at the same time. I'm breaking it down. This is a lie. When I told the lawyer, I said, man, he lying. She actually told me, who is she supposed to believe? I'm like, Slim, you my lawyer. You supposed to be my lawyer. You telling me who you supposed to believe, and I'm telling you they lying. All the documents lying. You know they lying. The documents prove they lying. The person who they said they saw ain't even me, but now the state is manipulating the fake witnesses to try to make them say that the person they was identifying was me when they know it wasn't. So I'm just like, there's just whole much wild stuff. So certain things I hit on, hit, boom, boom, say stuff, all that type of stuff, and I leave it alone because I had to let them play it out to allow them to prove that this is the type of deceptive tactics they've been doing to our people. All these years, man, and a lot of times back in the past, and then they try to make it look like they wasn't doing it no more, but then they just found a more strategic way to do it. You feel me? And that's why they was praising the fact that they were able to introduce the alpha plea into the judicial system and into the courts, because that was a way for them to strategize against people in so many extra ways, more than what they was in the first place. So and with that, so that gave them the power to make us look guilty and make the guilty person look innocent, and make us who was innocent look guilty. And in the process, I was charged. My other man was charged. It say me and my other man was charged, but it was only one person on the indictment, as I showed. But this is how the state was doing it. What they was doing was they played the game. They said, all right, we know this person innocent, so we're going to lock this person up first because he's the most innocent, because he got hit with the firearm. So we're going to have to lock him up and make him change his story. We're going to have to scare him into thinking that if he don't do what we want him to do, then we can lock him up and we can actually keep him in prison and charge him on a rocket time, or he going to comply with what we want, or else he going to stay in prison. You feel me? And that's why they did that, and that's why they lied and falsified information. So they needed him to lie and misrepresent the truth, or accept whatever they was trying to do, so they can get away with what they was doing. And their main target was me, because my family was suing them for the stuff that they did. Not only did they try to strategize against me, but once they got me in there, the lawsuit started coming in, and they was trying to get away with the lawsuit. So they really started honing in and trying to make sure they find me guilty of any and everything. So anything they can So no matter what the lies was, they was trying every. I never went to not one hearing. The only hearing I ever went to was when they set it up for a plea deal hearing. From the day I got locked up, I never went to no hearing. I even when they had the little fake initial hearing, I didn't even go in the courtroom. They had me on a TV monitor to jump. And I didn't even go in the official courtroom. And they lied about all the information on there. Then my preliminary hearing, never went in there. But that's when the detective said, that's after they ran in my house and everything, took my people's gun, took it in the room. And it was a registered firearm and all that. Said that was the gun used, took pictures. Said that was the gun used to commit the crime that they had me in there for. And then filed the charges initially. So they denied me on my preliminary hearing and all that. And bail or anything. And then they kept lying about all the other charges and pat my files. Then they had on my record murder, one of 5 related counts, and I never was locked up for murder. So how you get murder, one of 5 related counts in my documents, and that was because they was falsifying information of patting my files, putting other people's information in my files, so they could hold me in there without bond and without bail, so they could strategize against me to convict me and keep me locked up. So with that said, so they filed all these false charges. They filed an arrest warrant for the charging document, and then they did a statement of charges, which was all false. Information in it was false, but they worded it in a way so that they could try to justify detaining me, hoping that they was gonna get me in there and get my fingerprints, and they could have something to run off with. But once they did the fingerprints, that still ain't come back. They was on some extracurricular bull. Then we go to that's why they separated our trials too. The lawyer kept trying to say, oh yeah, I had your case separated from my other homeboy, the one who actually got assaulted, because they didn't want that evidence to cross into my case and prove that they was lying intentionally. So that's how they be trying to act like, oh, I'm doing you a favor. No, Slim, you just tried to set me up. You helped them set me up. You separated our cases so you could hide information from each transcript, from the transcripts and from the overall hearing, so that you can try to get away with it. So so they separated our jumps and was misrepresenting the information in his case and then the information in my case, so they could try to lie about what really happened. Then you go to the indictment. It say attempted murder, first degree assault. Now this was the thing that got me. This is a comparative analysis. Let's say whoever did shoot Slim, whoever shot him didn't even do it in the wrong. Whoever shot him, for one, Slim not only was wrong for jumping out there, he pulled out a pistol. After he was asked not to pull out a pistol, after he was told to chill, he ain't got nothing to worry about. Slim still would, for whatever reason in his brain, grabbed the gun, ran all the way around and assaulted my homeboy. Was allowed to leave though. Even after that, was allowed to leave. Cause I told Shorty, once I saw that, I said, man, get this nigga for somebody else, for something else happened, man. She said, all right. She grabbed him and took him out and rolled out. They rolled out. I said, man, boom. Thinking it's all over. I'm like, bro, I can't let you go in a house like this, young. Son was tripping. Young, I ain't gonna let this ruin our night, young. If you wanna go home, we can go home. But if not, son, we gonna go in here and party and forget about this. He said, man, look, we just gonna go in here and party, bro. I ain't even tripping. I said, all right, that's a bet. We're going to go ahead and party then, forget about this all happened. We go in this young party, forgot it. Literally forgot it all happened. Not even lying, I ain't even think about it until we come out the club and Slim out that junk tripping. Then he talking about, the whole time he talking to our peoples, and he don't even know it. Then all of a sudden, and they ain't even know he was talking about us until they put 2 and 2 together. And then next, he talking about, cause I was like, Slim, why you ain't just see my man one-on-one? You can see my man one-on-one, so on and so forth. Like, I ain't fighting that nigga, man. I'm gonna bust that nigga. So he already said, we already know he had a handgun. So now he talking about he got UWAP, all this wild stuff. So I'm like, hold up, bro. You always tripping. And he talking about he gonna kill my man. Next thing you know, everything happens, boom, boom. Slim get shot. Boom. Now, they trying to say we fled the scene. We didn't offer CPR, all this other stuff. Everything that they claim was on some old scandalous, deceptive bullcrap. And that's why the comparative analysis that I'm going off of is basically breaking down that There was really no assault against them in a first degree or as a first degree assault or an attempted murder, because you technically not supposed to get a first degree assault when you're defending yourself against an attacker. You feel me? Or someone who's threatened you already and trying to do harm to you, or had the potential to do harm and prove they already did harm. So the state knows this, but they are manipulating their laws and their legal system to attack anybody and whoever they can. So with that, they tried to go on to say, but the only, and this was the catch-20 right here. Me or none of my people used our firearms in the commission of a crime of violence. None of us. It was only in self-defense. Whoever used the gun, it was in self-defense. The only person who used their handgun in the commission of a crime of violence was the person that they claimed was the victim, but he was never charged, and the state was okay with that. They was allowed to lie in the courtroom and falsify all this information, and intentionally did it boldly. She came boldly before the throne of the judge and told them hella lies with no remorse, depraved hearted like a mug. So in this case, they try to say my man aided and abetted. They try to say that my man committed a criminal act for accessory after the fact by aiding and abetting and taking us away from the scene. But the whole time, when you look at aiding and abetting, the state was actually guilty of aiding and abetting, because the real criminal was never charged. The real criminal never had a problem with the state. The state's supposed to protect us, the people, and the people who are innocently being attacked, having things done to us. Supposed to protect us from those who who break the law. You feel me? We didn't really break no law. We didn't break no law. That individual broke a law. And the other law, extracurricular laws that they had in between to make it look like we doing something wrong, that was just some extracurricular stuff. But in essence, we didn't really break no laws. So the person who broke the law, they aided and abetted this individual by protecting them with lies and falsely prosecuted innocent people under the false pretense of them being criminals in society, and saying they tried to make it look like they was protecting society from us, when the whole time the real criminal they was keeping in society. That's a comparison analysis for your act. And this is the type of stuff that's wild, because how is these people supposed to be protecting us in our communities and protecting the people and protecting us, period, but they're committing such criminal acts against us using the legal system? And they don't have no remorse. They don't have no problem doing it. They okay with it. They sit and proudly do it with no dishonor. They think it's okay. So I'm going through all that, and then I'm like, man, get out of here. So you mean to tell me you locking us up? But we ain't do nothing wrong, and the real criminal is out there chilling. You made all these lies up to make it look like Slim was such a good person, all this other type stuff, and that he was right for doing what he did, and they try to make it look like fighting is justified and all this stuff. Now, say if we was in there for a simple assault or fighting, they would have tried to say, oh, it's horrendous. This man beat this man up for no reason, or hit this man like that in front of his girl and all this. Now fighting is a criminal act, and they didn't blew that out of proportion. But now it's okay for him to fight and become victorious, and nothing. It's wild how they manipulate these situations and circumstances and try to take advantage of our people and destroy us in front of people, son. And it's very messed up. And that's why I came up with this comparative analysis situation, because when you look at it, I must say in one of my teachings, it goes down back to I was breaking down how the government accepted the sacrificial system, and that's their system. You feel me? And what they did, but what they don't know when they playing with people's religion and when they playing with the truth, it resurrects itself. You feel me? And it has a way of revealing itself and making itself known, whether directly, indirectly. How my man said, inconspicuously, with all type of stuff, whatever one way you want to say it, inadvertently, all that type of stuff. It comes out. So and what happened was, in this case, the State Department intentionally sacrificed the truth. They tried to hide it and put it in the darkness. And once they put it in the darkness, kept coming out. Light just kept shining on the situation. Light kept shining on the situation. And they didn't understand it, man. They so evil and so demonic and so dark with the things that they do, thinking that they could hide everything and get away with everything. They couldn't understand how the light kept shining, you feel me? They couldn't comprehend it. So once they sacrificed the truth, they thought it was over. Oh man, this man locked up. We finally did it. We got him in here. We set him up. Oh, we good. It's Gucci. It's great. Wonderful. Next thing you know, truth started coming out some more. And it resurrected itself. Nails before their face and their eyes. A lot of people seeing it. People understood it. They didn't understand it though. They started seeing it. They knew something wasn't right, but they just couldn't put two and two together. Then as the information started coming to them and they start seeing it and they say, son, you mean to tell me this whole time they was lying? Yes, they was lying. And they did it on purpose. They intentionally sacrificed the truth. And now the truth is resurrected. And now they hate it. Now they're trying to find a way to kill it again. But they can't. Because the truth is the truth. No matter what they do, they keep trying to destroy the truth, find ways to destroy the truth, destroy people, kill people, all this other type of stuff. And it keeps resurrecting. It keeps coming out. Every time they destroy stuff, they face statues and tombs and forged documented scriptures and writings and stuff and manipulate people's religions and teachings. The truth seems to always come back out. And that's what keep happening, man. They keep using these legal systems, the laws, and a lot of times when you read these teachings back in the day, you don't understand it because a lot of these teachings don't actually necessarily mean you have to be able to differentiate the information and break it down. We say you rightly divide the word of God. It means rightly articulate what it is you're reading, divide it, discern what's really going on. Yes, it has the potential to be something happening right now, but it just may be just information to let you know it's not happening right now. It's a possibility it could be, but it may not. However, if it is, this may be something that's involved with it. Then this may be something else that it does not. Or just things maybe you can look for. You feel me? But it doesn't also always mean that just because you see certain things that that's what it is. So you got to be able to understand things and see it for what it is and take in information without always acting on it prematurely and making things worse. You feel me? Accusing people of stuff that they not doing when they really not doing it, or people who's being set up to make it look like they doing something they not. Whole time they really not doing anything wrong, but it's been set up for them to look like they doing something wrong. So the people who's really doing stuff wrong could get away with it. You feel me? And a lot of that stuff, that's what happened in this case. They got caught lying. They illegally doing searches and seizures, illegally running in people's houses with falsified, misrepresented no-knock warrants, all the type of stuff, and it's coming back on them. So they trying to do any and everything to keep their job, to cover it up, to lie, instead of just saying, "Look, man, we messed up. How can we resolve this respectably?" You know, they start trying to set people up, get people killed, misrepresenting information, all this wild stuff, man. It's very vicious, man. And these the individuals that are in these positions of power, man, they act like they can't be touched or they can get away with anything, and they deceive the public and the people so much that even when you see it, you just want to accept whatever they say, and that's not the case. That's not the case. That's not the truth. But they try to make it look like that's what it is. And that's why I gave this the title of comparative analysis, because I'm comparing the difference between a real criminal and those who are made out to be criminals. Because how is these individuals who are supposed to be going to school to study and go to all these prestigious schools and colleges and all this other type of stuff for higher learning and higher etiquette and all this other type of stuff and higher morals and values, and they're doing such deceitful, evil tactics against the people that they're supposed to be protecting, against the honor system, against the so-called Constitution. You feel me? They violating everybody's rights, all these people's rights, setting people up, lying, all this type of stuff. And they're saying that they come from a better background than us, but doing worse than us. You feel me? And a lot of the situation, and that's one of the things that used to disturb me as I was growing up, is I used to see the difference between a lot of people who was growing up in messed up situations but making the best out of it and trying their best not to do wrong. But then you got people that grow up in the best of situations and they find the worst things to do. And or they got money, they got all this stuff. Instead of them investing their money in the right things, they want to spend it on wild stuff and then steal other people's money. circumvent how they getting their money and how they can manipulate and finesse you out your money and lie to you and all that type of stuff, and then act like you wrong for not allowing them to do it. This stuff crazy. So and that's what that's about. Cause like when I was going to my hearings, when I finally went to that hearing, then I went to my center. I only went to 2 hearings. The setup plea hearing that they set up, and which wasn't even supposed to be a plea hearing, and then the sentencing. That's the only 2 court dates I ever been to. Court hearings I was at, and both of them, it just expanded on their lies, and that's what their goal was, to lie and lie and lie to get me to take a plea so they can make it look like the lies that they was telling were the truth, and then to exaggerate even further in doing the sentencing. So and it's very deceitful how they get away with a lot of that stuff, and it's a common practice though. They don't care about that, and they use a lot of these police officers, and a lot of times, you know, it goes back to money, manipulation, all the type of stuff. A lot of these police, if they lose their job, they ain't got nothing. They ain't got no house, no home. So they look at the people in the streets like, why you doing what you doing? You supposed to be making a better life and all that. You could do things better. But then when you look at them, you telling us all this, but y'all doing even worse because y'all got all this stuff and y'all allowing yourselves to be manipulated into doing corrupt criminal acts, using a legal system that's supposed to be for the better, and using your position that's supposed to be for the better. So you locking up innocent people while you assisting criminals. That's crazy. So the joint is wild, man. You got some good police, you know, here and there, but it's not that many. But at the same time, they attack us in our communities. One situation happened, they attack us in our communities and say, make it look like all of us involved in criminal activity, or we all deserve to be punished and all that. But then when something happened amongst their community, oh, well, it's an isolated incident, all this other type of stuff. We need you to be understanding. All the officers and agents are not like this, you know. This is just someone who defected and all this extracurricular stuff. They can explain the whole situation away. So this joint is wild, man. And with that said, I'm ending this one because this was just a brief one on a comparative analysis, because I wanted to break down how easy it was for them to call us criminals and say that we were guilty of criminal acts when the whole time they were the ones guilty of criminal. They aided and abetted. They helped lie. They helped lie to keep a criminal out of prison, while they lied even more to keep innocent people in prison, and then made it look like they were guilty. We were guilty of criminal acts when we wasn't. You feel me? And when you look at that, son, that's very deceitful. You feel me? And going through that, man, I was just like, man, this is crazy. You know? How easy it was for them to just sit there and play like they don't know what's going on. The judge tried to play it off. The state's attorney, the lawyer, the so-called fake lawyer I had, supposed to have been a defense attorney, the judge, the state's attorney, all of them was working together. The police was working together, and they act like they not in cahoots. You feel me? And it's just an ongoing process of how they have strategized to manipulate against us and keep us in bondage. You know, on all types of levels. And then when you start putting it out there, they get even more mad. Like I said, I ain't never get attacked with no wild stuff until I sued the state of Maryland for the amount of money I did. All of a sudden, wild stuff started happening. A whole bunch of crazy stuff. So I got on that already, but it's gonna be more detailed and all that later on. But it's just, man, it just goes to show you, man, what type of world we live in and how deceitful they are and what they're capable of doing. Weapons that they're supposed to be using only for extreme warfare, they're using on innocent civilians. You feel me? People that they need to try to take advantage of because they don't want to get exposed for doing the evils they do. You feel me? And it ain't even your fault. You just a victim because they chose to do something wrong and they getting caught. You know, or they trying not to get caught. So, man, this stuff is sad, man. But with that ends the comparative analysis, because I'm going to get more in depth on the other one. I just wanted to break ground so you can understand where I'm going after this. When I get into more detail, because I'm going to break a lot of stuff down, and I'm going to break down stuff that happened in my childhood that led up to this, and how they was incorporating evidence from my neighborhood into this to try to lock me up. You know, they was wild. Some they was trying to make it look like I was in a whole bunch of wild stuff. Man, it's not all that honor roll stuff I had when I was young. All this stuff, they left all that out. Everything good they left out. They was trying to pin anything. They even try to say the fake lawyer that I had even trying to say, oh yeah, it's neighborhood, this and this and that. You know, even people 12 years old got guns and all this type of stuff. Bro, that ain't our fault. That ain't my fault. We live in our neighborhood. We live in our neighborhood because your state departments and y'all agents keep setting our family up. We lost a house in D.C. because y'all falsified information on that about the house fire. And my grandmother stayed there, but we left. We lost the other house in Temple Hills, Maryland, over by the Simpson cars, Simpson Road, off of Simpson Road by the cars, because they allowed the people who was leasing the own from to sell the house to another people instead of us, and broke the contract. And then they tried to raise the mortgage, and the state allowed that. So we had to move, and that's why we ended up in Capitol Heights. So every time it was the state involvement that allowed us to be misrepresented and put in messed up situations. You feel me? Even when we can't win better situations, they still create a problem and put us in a worse situation. So it ain't our fault. We surviving in the environments you put us in. That ain't our fault. So with that said, man, I'm gonna break more down later on in the next one, and that one gonna be coming quicker because it's a lot going on. I'm gonna break that down in this other video that I'm about to post. And break that down, why it took me so long to do it. And plus it was the holidays and stuff, so I want everybody to enjoy that. And I didn't want to try putting that out there and had that conflict with what y'all was doing and everything. I wanted to be able to put something out there where y'all can sit back and listen to. So, but the next one is definitely gonna be more in depth and break a lot more stuff down. And like I said, this is just the brief summary of it. I'm breaking down the comparison of how they play on criminals and not criminals, and how they play on how they use the laws, but then they don't use the laws like they're supposed to. It's a law when they can use it against you to punish you, but it's not a law, or they don't have to respect it, or they try to get around it when it's held against them. And when they supposed to be addressed and punished or held accountable, you know, they try to get away around it. So, but that said, man, I'll catch y'all on the next one.